Hey, gang. Welcome back to these CirdecSongs chats. I am happy to be with you as always. And also, as always, I ask that you please like and subscribe to my channel, make a few comments, and share because we have a wonderful artist with us. She has just released her debut album. She's an amazing pianist. She is Olivia Perez-Collemir. Please tell me I pronounced that right. How are we doing, Olivia?
Excellent. Thank you so much for inviting me. And yes, you did. You did pronounce perfectly.
Awesome. Awesome. I am so glad to have you here. I've just checked out your new record. It's a lot of fun. It is called Olivia. Original title, by the way. How'd you come up with that?
Well, it was my first baby, right? My first full length album. So we wanted to be honest, like my identity. And this is who I am, right? Olivia. Just direct and very
Oh yeah,
transparent.
it's like McCartney. It just makes sense. It just rolls off the tongue.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit about your musical background.
Yeah, I mean, I did start in Barcelona, Conservatory, Classical Music Conservatory, in the city of Barcelona with all the concerto pianist career, right? So that it was kind of my background with I studied with some of the best professors and concertists at the time, disciples of Alicia de la Rocha, Antoni Besses as well, that it was a disciple of Olivier Messiaen, Gina Stera. So I was lucky enough to be really, really inspired by my maestros and enjoying so much like playing my first concert. I think it was a 6 7 8 years old, and at that time it was a jazz path in the conservatory,
Uh-huh.
so it was a strictly classical concerto pianist. And then and then when it was the time to say, okay, let's go just to train for a concerto with orchestra, right? I really love philosophy, by the way. So I said, oh, I would love to go to the University in Barcelona as well and study the Bachelor of Philosophy. So I was combining both, like a conservatory in the afternoon. I was doing piano concerto, and then in the morning I was doing the Bachelor of Philosophy. And then well, I was playing a lot, and I kind of saw some of the pianists around me, like improvising and dialoguing in the middle of on the stage, being able to transport in every key. And I said, "Oh my God, this is awesome!" And then they say, "Well, how is this? How is this happening? How can I train myself to do this? Right? Just be able to." And they said, "Well, it's called jazz, right?" So I said, "Oh my God, I really want to do this." And then what I did, I did go back to the college, to the conservatory, and did study my bachelor in jazz performance in Barcelona as well. But with the intention to, my dream it was to come to Berklee College of Music. So it was like, okay, I'm going to study this 5 years program with the idea to present myself into the auditions, right? Berklee does like auditions around the world. And hopefully I said, okay, next year when I finish, they are coming to Barcelona and I can just sign up for a spot. And I did play, and they say, Olivia, we would love to invite you to come to Berklee College of Music. And so I did move to the United States, to Boston, to study the jazz program with in the center, in the heart of the jazz, right? And with some of the
Right.
legends, my heroes, and that it was an amazing time discovering, researching, learning from the authentic legends, like people I was playing with, Miles Davis, just insane. So I was like, oh my God. So that is kind of my background. And then I did graduate at Berkeley as well with double major in performance, jazz performance, and as well in professional music. It's a combination of composition, orchestration, production, arrangement. So I felt like I was solid enough, right? I'm going to take advantage being at Berkeley, learning as much as I can. I could. So it's what I did. Yes. Thank you for the
Right.
scholarship. I was the recipient of a scholarship, so that allowed me to be at Berkeley long time, or enjoying as much. And
Well,
I was so.
I'm guessing you earned that scholarship, no doubt. Are there any jazz pianists in particular that you're influenced by, or did you just take everything in?
Oh well, in Barcelona, who the first person that blew my mind was a concert, a live concert, Chick Corea. came to the Palau de la Música Catalana with Bella Fleck, right? And they
Oh,
start,
nice.
yeah, it was unbelievable because I was attending every week to it's a symphonic hall in Barcelona, listening orchestra. And then that concert in the series was like, oh my God, they really improvise. They're really dialoguing on the stage. It was everything I was wishing for, right? And the beauty,
Mhm.
just the music, and then I said, this is the voice that I would love to, to explore, and the path I would love to study. And then, yes, that it was a huge influence. Then when I came to Berkeley, of course, I did study super deeply, or as deeply I could. Chick Corea, of course, Miles Davis, Charlie Parker, all the classic, Brad Meldau, and Wynton Kelly I love as well. Yeah, everything they cool.
Yes, they're very cool. And of course, one of Chick's best compositions is called Spain, so you almost have no choice but to enjoy that.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
like it. I like it. Let's
Mhm.
talk about your new baby. Let's talk about your solo album. What led you to go ahead and record a new record?
So it was being at Berkeley, right? I am a professor at Berkeley College of Music now. So there is a kind of projects like a fellowship grant award that is, choose some of the projects that the faculty presents. So I presented my music. I said, this is the music I've been carrying with me and composing and performing, right? So it's what you mentioned, right? Different styles, different backgrounds, all those genres that so I did present that music and was awarded with a fellowship grant. So that it was great because it was the springboard and allowed me to go to the studio, and we were recording my music through the 2021-2022. And then that it was in the form of the CD. And then I asked to Gonzalo Grau if he could produce my album, as I am a big, I feel a huge admiration for him. And he
Mhm.
said, yeah, Olivia, I would love to produce your album. And the first question is like, how do we face, right? So which part of me do we present, right? The part more Latin jazz, jazzy, the part more of flamenco, the part more classical. And he came up with the idea of the promenade, right? The promenades are those short pieces that connect one
Right.
piece with the other and make that journey connected. And this is how we created the album. And then now just released. It was released on the September 15th. So super excited
And
about, and I
it's
hope.
wonderful. Everybody needs to get out there and get themselves a copy. I was just saying a little while ago that your music is undefinable to me, which is one of the things that appeals to me. I hear jazz, I hear classical, I hear Latin. How natural was that for you to bring forward, or was it something that you had to make a conscious decision to play?
No, it's exactly that. Yeah, very, very, very good question. So it was that at the moment when I presented all my music to Gonzalo Grau, the producer, said, what do we do? Which Olivia, right? We present in these first albums. This is the first, right? This and represent your identity, right? And he said,
Makes
Olivia, you
sense.
are all of these. So everything we are going to present. And so it was a matter of how we connected both. So all those styles were naturally part of me, right? So she's have been accompanying me and the different times of my life, right? The classical piano concerto since my first training in the National Conservatory in Barcelona. And then the Latin jazz and the flamenco is part of my identity because my family are coming. My grandma was from South Spain, Andalusia. The flamenco was part of our, daily basis music and dancing and so oral tradition. And I was born in a neighborhood that is the rumba flamenca is very typical. It's kind of the music of to go with on the weekends, and that it was natural. And then when I came to Berkeley, all the jazz that I was able to research, to study, to develop that language. So all of them kind of, I don't. It's like when you speak three languages, right? So Catalan, Spanish, and English. In my case, I'm not really aware when I'm talking in which language, right? So
Right.
it was kind of natural. It's the same for the music. So for me, it was natural. Now I felt that way for this song with this particular language, and it's what I did.
It just pours out of you. That makes sense. I am going to do something a little dangerous here. I'm going to ask you to pick out some of your favorite tunes from the album, and I know it's like picking out your favorite child. So,
Yes.
but is there? It's not always a good idea. But are there any pieces for you that stand out that you enjoy just a bit more than any of the others?
Wow, it's true. It's difficult. It's a tough question. I'm going to ask you later. What do you think? What are your favorites, if you have? But yes,
That's
I
fair.
mean
That's
Barcelona,
fair.
of
I
course.
asked for it.
So Barcelona will be definitely one of the ones that are more close to my heart, because when I was at Berkeley studying, I was kind of homesick, right? Missing so much my
Yes.
roots, my family. I left everything to come to Berkeley, to come to the United States. I didn't know anybody. I was completely alone. Nobody. So it was kind of a crazy decision, right? And then some moments they were tough, right? Like, oh, okay, I'm missing home, I'm missing my tradition, my identity. So the way that helped me to navigate those moments, it was writing music. So I did write Barcelona, made me feel very close to home. That definitely is like, and also reminds me to my grandparents, the afternoons in front of the beach, the sunset with the habanera, the introduction of Barcelona, like habaneras catalanas. That reminds me all my childhood, summertime sunsets along the water of the Mediterranean Sea. That definitely. Then Granada, because Granada is one of the most beautiful cities in the world, right? And then
Okay. Yeah.
so and is the root of the flamenco, one of the pillars of the flamenco. The city is more important in the history of the flamenco. So definitely, I wanted to make a tribute to that city. I've been in love all my life, and I will say those two. And then, of course, I wanted to make a tribute to Frederic Monpeau, since was the first music I did play when I was a child. And my professors, they were very close friend to him, so I was able to learn his scores from directly feedback from his his closest people. So that it was a kind of making the music tribute to my first contact with the music that they had.
That's good. That's good. And I am going to answer your question by saying I don't know which one is my favorite, but and Angelico is wonderful. I remember that one,
Mhm.
and I love the way you're tying the promenade pieces together. Like they just kind of feel like a nice interlude between what's going on. Uh, and together, I'm going to go with that one as well. But
Mm.
I love them
Yeah.
all. And if I've learned anything right now, I need to visit Spain. That much is certain. I have a I have a very good friend who lives in Toledo. I hope I pronounced that
Oh,
right.
yeah, correctly.
and and I definitely need to get out there and see more. I've only been to Japan and Mexico. Yeah, that counts internationally, but I know what you mean by not knowing anybody and just showing up and what have you. But that reflects itself nicely in your music. Let me ask you this: studio, the studio and the concert stage are obviously different entities. Do you feel like you like one more than the other, or are you equally comfortable?
Hmm. I really love both. But the fact that when you are on the stage and you have the audience, right, the listeners there, feels like a community,
Right.
and just I love it. So since I think that this is why, I think not definitely it was the reason that I said this is what I want to do in life, right? Be a musician. And because what I felt when I was already a child, being on the stage and being able to communicate, right? In that time I was playing composed like a classical pieces, right? All written scores by Mozart or Bach,
Uh,
right? Or Beethoven. But just the feeling of being on the stage and interacting. And then I said, well, if we open that to the concept of liberty, right, to be able to improvise, to be able to dialogue on the stage. It was kind of the voice, the language that gave me the jazz, right? So I said, okay, I want to be on the stage, but playing music that allows that freedom, right? That allows that improvisation and that comping back and forth dialogue. And this is why Spark is present on my music as well. But definitely the fact to be on the stage and being able to feel the vibe and the communication back and forth with the audience is priceless. And it's like adrenaline. I'm completely in heaven when I feel that way.
That makes sense. That makes sense. What do you look for in a bandmate? What are the qualities that you feel that you blend with best?
Well, the talent, of course, the musicianship, that for sure, right?
Sure.
But also to have a very getting along well. I think it's very important to understand each other's personalities, because I play, and I think that it's kind of everybody on the music world might be thinking the same. Or I'm assuming sometimes you play with people with different personalities and very far away from you, right? And sometimes it's very easy to kind of find each other's merging or find each other ways, and sometimes it's more difficult, right? So I think that for me it's important to get along well and understand what I want to communicate, and definitely be nice. The people that's really responsible and being nice and being very respectful with each other's. And I think, yeah, that it's a responsibility and professionalism that are very crucial.
I see. I see. Uh, when you going back to the studio for a second, how do you define your
Mhm.
approach? Are you someone who wants to catch everything in the first take, or are you willing to just kind of experiment and see where things go?
So, for example, for the promenades, we put one full day just for the promenades, and it was I had some sketches, right? I was showing you, I was showing to the producer, to Gonzalo Grau, and we can like kind of have like a skeleton. We go from this modality to this other modality, from this tempo to this other tempo, since they represent this transition, right? To this whole way, right, from one piece to the other and along the journey, right, the transition from one chapter to the other. So then we were playing the skeleton in different ways, like different approaches, and we got the one that we like the most in the overall kind of concept, right? Because maybe sometimes we had an idea, okay, we are going to do this more intimate, right, or we're going to do this more super, like the minimalism, right, the essence, because we wanted to create theme and variation, right? So that this is what the promenade one is, the most minimalism piece, right, needs to be completely, off every ornamentation or accidental, right? And so we were able to build up on that. So, and then after that, it was kind of also a journey in itself, because it's like, oh, how can we make this theme and variation? Changing the rhythm, changing the modality, changing. So we had the skeleton, but we did a lot of improvisation as well in the on the studio. For the other pieces, were parts, for example, written, arrangement written, especially the ones that they have string quartet, but also they were spaces with improvisational for vocals, for instruments like piano, bass, flute, like a concept of impro with compings.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So you're giving the musicians you're working with a little latitude here and there.
Exactly. So depending, especially for example, the ones
Makes
that are
sense.
more like a combat, yes, combat del somni, right? The one that is more string quartets and more classical. So those they were completely written, right? But for example, in Ravel, the Tombeau de Couperin, we started the way that Ravel wrote the piece, but then we open into improvisational, and then so this is when Nassim, the cellist, is opening that section so beautiful, and I am still, when I hear that part of the Ravel, the Tombeau de Couperin, I feel like, oh my God, I am about to cry still. So I don't get tired ever. It's just, and that happened just on the studio. It was completely improvised between him and me. Mm.
There's nothing better than music moving you to tears. That much is certain. There's plenty of pieces. For me, it's Samuel Barber's Adagio for strings.
Oh,
I'm, I'm
definitely,
done. I'm done when I, when I listen to that. Well, speaking of which,
definitely.
let's get into that. What are your favorite pieces that move you emotionally?
Well, all of them they have a touch. All of them. This is where they are like a chapters of my life because they have been part of my life in different moments, right? So ones are more like from my life in Spain or my life in Barcelona. So it will be like a Barcelona and Granada and carrying all those emotions and culture and um, life and friends, family into those pieces. Even I did write those pieces in Boston, but they were coming with all, of course, all my history from Spain. The ones that are completely, more touch, Boston touch or Berkeley touch, are the one that you mentioned, Together. Together, that it was a collaboration. One of my best friends when I was studying at Berkeley, it was from India, right? And we got along super well. Basu, her name. And we started kind of sharing our music influence, our music background, our music of our countries, right? And then she started singing one of the most ancestor poems in India. And I said, wow, this is wonderful. And then we started jamming, like improvising, right? And in that afternoon, we were rehearsing. It said, let's go to see how this goes. And then she was speaking. At the beginning, it was more like a spoken words on that poem. And then I started creating my language more Spanish influence. And it was a tabla player that is also an Hindu instrument. And at that time, he said, Basu, oh, I have my friend around. Let's go to invite him. And he was a sitar player. So we ended up playing. So I was so lucky because I was playing with the entire, like Indian, not the entire, but it was a very strong, always has been a very strong Indian community at Berkeley. And I was kind of, I felt like a part of them, right? So I was very lucky. I really enjoyed. So that it was the kind of the beginning of the Together song, and then I just love it. And it was really a fusion and expression of love of both communities getting, sharing and gathering together.
Nice,
Hmm.
nice. I always wonder when I watch someone play. I'm a very poor guitarist. Let's put it that way. But when I listen to some piece of music here and there, I kind of want to jump in because I can hear a solo or what have you in my head. How frequently does that happen to you? You just get the urge to jump on stage or wish you were in the studio with someone.
When I have an idea in mind, you mean? Yeah, I mean, sometimes, well, if I am on the street, right? I go to the voice message and just starting singing whatever I am creating. And then while I am in the process, and then, okay, I need to go to Berkeley, I need to go to the studio, start trying those ideas. And then I call my friends and then start playing where that first idea goes. And then based on those explorations, I put that on written, right? Based on the direction that I really enjoyed that it took. That is one way. Some other pieces have been more like a nerd, can be on the table and thinking, wow, I really want to make that melody that I had back on the time, no, in Barcelona, a tribute. So I elaborate around that, especially the ones that are more arrangements, right? The ones that are dedications to Frederic Monpont, like Angelico, right? So that it was that melody is such a Mediterranean Catalan melody, right? The original is a piece like a super genuine, like a completely intimist and super fragile. And then taking that melody into a flamenco was like a big step, right? So that arrangement, it was based on an arrangement that Chano Dominguez did, and I love it. And then I took that idea and then I kept developing. But those are, especially those arrangements, are more like conceptualization, right? But
Hmm.
the ones that are original compositions, they come when they come, just in jam sessions. So they come being on the street, they come at night. I'm singing at night, and then I wake up whatever time is that. I go to the studio at home and then start recording lines and ideas, right?
Understood. And things just keep flowing from there. Makes sense. You got 13 tracks on this record, but if you're like every other musician I know, there's always another idea or two that hasn't fully developed itself yet. What have you left on the cutting room floor, as it were? Do you see your second record starting to take shape already?
Well, I have, I'm working now in an orchestra symphony, actually.
Uh-huh.
I am going into that direction, and it will be announced soon. I am writing for one of the most important orchestras in the world, so I cannot
Very
reveal it
nice.
yet. But I'm so excited. It's a project that I am completely in love with, and so all the composition ideas going to that direction. Is a symphony, choir symphony. So where I'm going to have a 150 singers, vocalists of a choir, and I'm going to have a full symphony orchestra as well. So that is
Nice.
where now my creativity, my composition is on. And we will record, of course, that. It will be recorded on, probably it will be my second album. Who knows? But yes.
Very good. Very good. Your dream band, who would you love to play with, past or present? Who would be your favorite artist to be in a band with?
Oh, wow. Any specific genre or doesn't matter?
Nice. Very nice indeed.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I mean, I would love, of course, the problem, I mean, not the problem, it's not a problem. Chick Corea, we could put two pianos, and he is not anymore with us, but if it could have been, possible, I would have loved to play with Chick Corea, maybe at two pianos. For sure. Or Bill Evans, two pianos, that for sure.
Very good. Very good. You're about to take this your album on the road soon. You're going to play some shows live for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are going to release the album in New York, October 4th at DROM in Manhattan. And we are super excited. 7:30 starts the show. We are part of the women's in the world music series, right? So, and we are super excited. October 4th, album release in New York at DROM, 7:30. And then the second album release show is going to be in Boston in March. And then after that, we are working on a tour. Hopefully we are going to come to Chicago so we can meet and play live there. But yes, we are aiming to do an international tour, including the United States and Europe, and in Europe mostly in Spain. Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. I had one more question and it slipped my mind for a second there, but we'll be okay. I can't thank you
It's
enough
okay.
for taking the time to talk to us today. And now I
Thank you.
remember the question. We wanted to make sure where can we find your album? I'm aware that you're on Bandcamp, I believe, but where else can we find it?
Exactly. Bandcamp, Olivia Perez-COLLELMIR. So you can find me there.
Marvelous.
And thank you
Marvelous.
to everybody
Olivia,
for
I
the
can't thank you enough for
support.
taking the time to talk to us today.
Yeah, no, thank
And
you
we
for
look
the
forward to seeing you
invitation.
on. Excellent. We look forward to seeing you out there, and best of luck
Have a good
in the
day.
future.
Adios. Bye.
Take care.